He said he will talk to you, message him. Really? Dude, I would love to talk to him. Holy shit.
What's up, man?
Yo, what's going on?
Just stayed up all fucking night playing New World. I just heard about this Lost Ark shit.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Okay, so like my thing with this, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure everyone that's on your stream as well as mine knows what's happening. They're giving the free Pheons out, which was like, you know, Christmas for everyone, right? It's like it was
per character. Like every character got 10 Pheons. Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is in Lost Ark.
Yeah. So I had like 170 Pheons because I had like 17 characters, right?
Oh wow.
So the thing is, I don't know if they're gonna change what they were originally planning on doing, but like this is a big issue, right? Like this is like a huge massive fuck up on their end. But the thing is, it's like I don't know whose decision it was to actually do it, but like this is like obviously really devastating to the game because it's, you know, they're removed. you give people all this shit, like all these free Pheons, which to begin with, I'm not the biggest fan of Pheons to begin with. And then you're
I don't know why they're in the game.
I don't either.
Well, I do know why it's money.
What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I caught a little snippet of when you were talking about it earlier, but I couldn't hear the whole thing.
It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing because like the thing is there's a lot of people that probably had like, you know, like 10, 15, 20 of them, or like let's say they had 50 of them, and that's enough to buy like one relic accessory and they can go from there and it's okay. But now they get a bunch more and they spend all of those. And so now they can spend all of their Pheons since they got a ton of them, and now they are just fucked over because they're going to lose them. They're going to be taken away. Like, I don't see like, how is it something that's hurting the game for players to have extra resources? Like I've been very critical of the Pheon system ever since it came out. And I still don't really agree that it should be in the game. I don't think there's any sort of a positive that the just amount of like item trades that per item that you can have, like you can trade an item like 3 or 4 times based off what it is. I don't see like what that doesn't already solve. It just seems like it's just literally a tax.
Never in the history of any MMORPG has the Pheon system been implemented or called upon for. So it's like, you don't need it. Right? You know what I mean? Like it's just not a system.
How is it that every other game solves this problem except Lost Ark? Like somehow Lost Ark can't deal with this. And not only can they not deal with it, but they are making sure that we're paying them because they can't deal with it. It's completely unfair.
Yeah.
I'm astonished that like that's even a possibility, that people make an excuse for it. I feel like it's so bad for the game.
Yeah, you're right. Like I'm not the biggest fan of Pheons to begin with. I think even further, to extend on that point, the fact that like you have to spend Pheons just to trade items to your alts on your roster is also just
why? Like what's the point of this? Like how is this making the game better? And I think that's really the question that like you think about the real, like, you know, you get down to brass tacks. What is the advantage? Like how is having a Pheon cost to trade these items across different characters, how is this making the game better? And I'm sure that like, you know, somebody might say that, well, you know, that way if you have like a bunch of also the same character, you know, you don't have to do this every single time. And it's like, number one, why are people doing that? I feel like I don't know. And like, I'm curious kind of like what your opinion is on this, because like I've seen a lot of people come into my chat and say like, I got burned out on Lost Ark because I played eight alts a day and I just did the same thing 8 times every day. And I did 3 hones and I failed all 3 of them. And I can't see like the alt system in Lost Ark being a positive at this point. I feel like it's been very draining for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the issue with Lost Ark, it's like there's really just 3 things that carry Lost Ark, right? I mean, it's the combat, the classes, and the raids. But I don't know. I think that's the challenge with MMOs, right? It's like you got to put something in there to grind, but like at the same time, you know, anything that you do is going to be repetitive, right? So.
Oh, I've got no problem with repetitive content. I just think that we should all be able to do it on one character. Like, it's like you should have like a cap for like multiple characters. Like, I really like Berserker. Berserker is my favorite class. I've watched other classes play, and every single time I watch another class, it makes me think about how happy I am on Berserker. And like, I think that's a good thing. That's a very good thing because it means that you're enjoying what you're playing. But at the same time, like, I don't want to have to go and make 7 different Berserkers that are worse than my original Berserker just because there's this artificial cap that's put on my character.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm a very much
Yeah.
a one character person as well, and my game and the game that I cover content for mainly is like an alt focused game. That's just something.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it's just by game design. I think it's really clear if you play Lost Ark enough, which you have. It's clearly a game that is designed around the alt system, right? It's like, hey, this is a roster and this is what our game is. And unfortunately, I don't think that'll ever get changed because of, Smilegate running the show over there. But no, I agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the alts either. But there are some pros to it because I do enjoy playing other classes, right? Because,
Yeah.
I'm a striker main. I also play a Zerker. I get to try the Reaper that's coming out this week. So it kind of keeps things fresh. But do you actually grind in Lost Ark and like do your dailies like regularly? I know you do the Legion raids and whatnot, but
I got the golden Terpion. I beat the game.
Oh damn!
Like that was what I wanted, and I got it. And now I just basically chill. Like I did that. Like I have like pretty much every rapport maxed out. Like I did all the completionism stuff.
Yeah.
I did not do everything. Like I don't have all of the island souls. There's some masterpieces I'm missing, etc.
Right.
But for the most part, I did do a lot of that stuff. And so it's not that I don't like it. I had fun with that too. Like that's like what I do in WoW. That's what I do in other games. And it's the same with Lost Ark. It was great. But like I don't really go through and do like 2 chaos dungeons every single day on my main. Like, no, not really. It's kind of like you have the mood to grind.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the mood to grind, it's like really hard to motivate yourself to do it. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, like for me, a lot of my views with Lost Ark are because I've heard your opinions on the game, and a lot of my views are very much in line with you, despite being, because I cover Lost Ark, I get a lot of comments and criticism saying like he loves the game, and I'm just kind of sitting like, I don't actually love I enjoy playing the game, but there's a lot of systems that I don't like in the game. I'm very much against the Pheon system. I'm very much against having to grind alts and the daily grind and all that stuff. I mean, it's a good game. I really love the Legion raids. The Legion raids are fun, but
the gameplay is amazing. Everything outside of the gameplay is the problem. And it's like the thing is like Chaos Dungeons, like I don't know about you, but like I love the second level of Chaos Dungeons. Like that is so fun to me. But then doing the first and the third level just is not as enjoyable. Because like you get to focus on killing other elites, etc. And it feels like very much on rails. Like if I could, because like my main is like it's like 15, like 30 item level or something like that. Like if I could clear chaos dungeons, like some sort of option to just fight all of the mobs at once, I would do that.
Right. What do you think of the clown raid though?
Honestly, I think it's really good. I think it's a very good raid. And like it's frustrating because like sometimes I'll mess it up or something will go wrong. But like with it being a 4-person raid, it's really not that bad. Like I'll get really mad about it for sure. But like I'm not really getting mad about the mechanics of the game. Right. I'm just being mad because I'm losing at the game.
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, like what do you think is gonna happen? Like what do you think is gonna happen with like this now? Yeah. Have you done a con on like the Korean servers?
No, I actually stopped Prague in KR quite a while ago. So like,
okay.
Yeah. I wanted to play exclusively on the NA servers with my community here, and I wanted to actually experience some of the content blind because I think that's really fun to do. But honestly, one of the biggest issues with Lost Ark for NA EU is the fact that Smilegate has full control over everything. Now, I don't know how the logistics work, but like I feel like a lot of these decisions and issues are coming from Smilegate, and because at the end of the day, Amazon's just the publisher, so that they're gonna get the heat. And I'm sure there's stuff that they've messed up on, right? But like the only thing I could say is like I met Rich at TwitchCon, did that Lost Ark event down there, and I got to spend a lot of time with the AGS staff and like they have a good staff there. Like they're pretty smart, you know what I mean? Like we had good conversations and they definitely know what they're doing. And it's like one of the things that I kind of felt like after I spoke to them is that they're in a bad like middleman position with a lot of the issues that end up happening. It's like, I don't know the decision-making process or anything like that, but I mean, Smilegate is obviously the people that, you know, run the game and make the major decisions at the end of the day, right? So, like, even this, it's like, how much did Amazon drop the ball on this, or is this another Smilegate issue? Regardless, this issue is like, whoever made the decision to do what they did, it is single-handedly, like, probably the worst decision that they've made ever.
It's impressive how bad it is.
It's really bad.
Like, it's like, wow, like, I never thought, like, this level of not understanding the player base could even exist. It's incredible to me. Like, I don't understand it at all.
Right. I don't know. Like, I'm really curious as to what's going to happen here in the next hour or so. I don't think they're going to actually give negative peons. If you actually read the verbiage, it certainly implies that negative peons could be on the table, but it just says that the peons would be removed. So it's like, one of the things you also got from the conversation are cards, right? So if you open the card packs already
you
and
can
consume
get the
them, it's like, are they going to remove those cards? Probably not. I could be wrong. This is kind of a shitty situation, but what I think is going to end up happening is, if you got the peons but you didn't use them, they'll be removed. If you got the peons but you used them, then you win because you're not going to go negative. If you but this screws over most people still, because if you're sitting on like 100 peons already that you're saving, and then you got an extra 100, then it's like, oh, well, I'm going to use this extra 100 for these tripods for my alts because they're free, and now you're going to be penalized because it's going to count, you know, whatever. I mean, this is just me thinking about what could
count
possibly
against
happen.
you or something like that. Like, you never know what's going to happen. And it's like, you know, it's like, you ask the question, like, how is this good for the game? Like, how does this improve the quality of the game now that the peons are being removed from the players that accidentally got them?
Right.
And it's like, why was this necessary? And I think also, like, it gets people to ask the question too. It's like, why is this even here in the first place?
Yeah, like peons to begin with.
Yeah, it's like, I would love if the Lost Ark community could just come together and say, we're not going to play the game anymore if this is a system, because that's what I think they should do. I think there is just literally no advantage to having this in the game. It's a pure tax. It's a pay-to-win tax too. You have to fucking engage with the store systems. There is no reason why players should put up with this.
There's a lot of people that are very experienced in Lost Ark that are like, no, peons are really good for the game and all that stuff. And it's just, for me, I always go back to this. It's like, okay, you know what? Let's just say it is. Why does WoW not have it? Why does Final Fantasy not have it? Why has no other MMORPG ever needed it and they're still doing fine? It's like, you cannot tell me that Lost Ark needs this system. That's, you know,
and it's like, even if you think that they do need the system, even if you're very positive about the system in general, I have not heard a single good argument as to why they're not, you have to pay Pheons to send them to your alts.
Right.
Like that's the one that, like, nobody can fucking defend, because it makes no sense.
I'm with you 100% with peons just not being necessary.
It doesn't
for the
add
game.
anything to the game. It doesn't make the game better. It doesn't improve the player experience. This is just something that exists in the game in order to finesse people out of money. I think that's what it is. Because it's like, also, it's like, if this is an anti-botting measure, why bots are not going to be getting relic accessories? They're not going to be able to buy, they're not going to sell relic accessories because they're fucking bots.
Right.
So it just doesn't even make sense, like, where people are coming from with this kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that it's just a terrible system and it adds literally nothing to the game. I hope players, like, push back against it, because there have been times where, like, the game has been changed. Like, for example, Yaz's jar. I think that's one of them, which is like that's the legendary armor, right?
Yeah, the skin, like the legendary skin.
Yeah, the legendary skin, and like, that's not in the game.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's a good example of, like, the game being changed a lot, you know, because of, like, the different audiences. So it's like, how is it that the game can be changed in this way, but Pheons have to be in the game? It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, no, you make a good point there, because it's like, it's not just that. There's also other things that that were removed from our version of the game that is, like,
the legendary pets and stuff like that with the RNG.
Yeah, that, I mean, even absolutely. Even just pet skills. Bro, it literally costs you blue crystals to re-roll your pet skills. and it was an RNG chance. Yeah, you know how you can like choose like
how much
10%
would you have to spend to get this though?
I mean, not like a significant amount, because when you re-roll, you get like 5 options to choose from.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be like endurance, specialization. So like, eventually you're going to get like
well,
one of the two.
The thing is, Asmon, it's not just the RNG roll on the stat you get. It was an RNG roll on the percentage too. So you'd have to continue rolling until you got the 10%.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all of that got removed. So like, that's why I was like pretty optimistic about, hey, you know what? Like, despite what, you know, Amazon getting a lot of shit, and again, I don't know where the decisions are coming from. Like, they've actually changed our region better than KR, certainly, with decisions like that. And like you're saying, Yoza's Jar. And then like, it's funny, like one of the things that I keep kind of talking about is like, well, I'm glad they're doing this for Yoza's Jar, because I'm really curious as to what they're going to do about the Esther weapon, which is literally a weapon that was made in Korea for whales. It was literally like whales would whale out to the equivalent of 1575 now for our version. They'd have nothing to do but like give us something to do. Like, all right, here's a super giga weapon that's going to cost you like 20 grand, whatever
it's
it
like
was,
$80,000.
Yeah, 80, something like that.
Right?
Yeah. It's insane. And so like, but you know, the fact that they removed the Yoza's Jar, I think that's a very good step in the right direction. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. What I do know is, unfortunately, I'm confident saying that Pheons probably will never just be removed from the game. So
I don't understand why. I feel like just having them in the game just makes people not want to use the auction house more. It just makes the game worse in general.
I think
I wish they would just be able to like listen to the player base, but I think that probably it's because they make them money too. Like, that's the reality, is that like people don't like Pheons because you have to spend real money to get them in a lot of cases.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, if you only play like one character or whatever, you're probably never going to hit that wall. But if you do play multiple characters, you're probably having a bad time with this. It means like any item that you get that's like not super good, like there's no reason for people to sell it at all or even try to like do anything with it, because it's just, well, you're not going to make enough money out of it, and so it's just not worth buying. It's just like even re-rolling ability stones is super expensive.
Yeah, another RNG roll. And like one of the biggest arguments I hear about, if Pheons were removed, it's like, hey man, well, first of all, blue crystal sinks need to be in the game, and you know, price of the auction house is going to be messed up. And I'm like, you know, I don't understand the argument of, hey, do you know how much more expensive, you know, ability stones or the accessories are going to be if Pheons are removed? I'm like, Pheons are essentially gold. Well, it's like, exactly. It's like, if they're removed from the game, sure, they'll be more expensive, but that's what you're paying for already. It's just, you know, it's like I would rather see a price tag of 1,000 gold than 500 gold, but in reality, there's it's another 500 gold underneath.
Some pay to win bullshit, right? And it's
which
like,
you can only buy packages, right?
Basically, so you think about like how much money does it cost to buy like a relic accessory, for example, and it's like, if you're buying a really, really good one, you're probably going to be buying a relic accessory for, I don't know, somewhere around the 100,000 gold. So 100,000 gold is like $50. Right. It's somewhere around there. So if it's $50 and the Pheon cost is $5, the change is going to be about 5,000 gold. So it's very easy to decide, because you just have to factor that into the price difference.
Right.
So it's like, anybody who thinks this is going to happen just doesn't understand how the numbers work. So people that are like making these like, oh, well, you can't possibly project what this is. Well, of course you can. It's a very known entity with a set price, and that set price is accounted for whenever people determine the price of and the value of an item. I don't understand how anybody would be like, oh, I mean, how could you possibly have any idea what things are going to be? Oh, the market's going to crash. There's no fucking way. Why would the market crash?
Yeah, I don't.
Just because you can do that.
I don't see the market crashing. I think, and to kind of expand on that too, it's like, removing Pheons from the game would also bring the value up for like budget builds or less than BIS accessories. Like think about this, Asmon, you've played this game, right? Like, how many accessories?
Unless you get a really good one,
right? It's
not selling.
That's
like you're not going to sell it.
Exactly.
Like, so 90% of the time, whenever you do a Legion raid, I would say 95% of the time, you come out with jack shit. You don't get any accessories. You don't get anything good. And whenever you do, it's something that's like very minor in value.
Right. And
90 people saying 99%. Yeah, it's so low.
yeah, exactly. It's like home run or trash it, right? At the end of the day. And I feel like removing peons would, I think it would be a very interesting dynamic, because if you remove it, now you can freely list things that are maybe a little budget. Maybe it might not be Grudge Ambush Master. Maybe it's like Ether Predator Ambush Master, which could be, and that'll sell for like, let's say 100 gold. And as a new player or someone that's trying to build up an alt that's cheap, that has 5 engravings, you will obviously be more likely to buy something like that if you don't have the gold, because like, hey man, it's like 200 fucking gold. Like, well, big deal. I'm going to replace this. But no one's going to be buying those, non-bis engravings or accessories, because it's like, well, even if it's 100 gold, in reality I'm spending 3K for this and spending these peons that I need to save for my alts and all that stuff. And it's like, and you end up just getting a marketplace that it's either best in slot items for really expensive price or nothing at all. You're essentially like, there's so many like
it makes
accessories.
The barrier to entry too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for these casual players, right? They don't have a lot of gold. Well, they can't just afford to just go out and buy an accessory every single time they see one that's an upgrade. They want to save everything up and make sure that they only buy the right one. Yeah. And it's just like, it adds nothing to the game. It actually makes the game a lot worse in many different ways. And I remember like this same thing happened like with New World. There was like the travel costs were like super high, and you couldn't put your storage in different places in the game. And it came out, and I remember I was critical of it. A number of other people were critical of it. People quit the game because of it. And then you still had people that were coming up with these like weird contrived reasons how it's actually a good thing. And then after this happened for long enough, people quit the game, and it made the game worse. Then New World changed it, and it was widely regarded as a huge success. None of the weird, like predictions that people made actually came true. It just made the game better, and everybody is happier because of it. Like, as I said, I think that all Lost Ark players, if they really want to send a message, stop playing, collectively stop playing the game until it's removed. And I guarantee if that actually happened, it'd be gone tomorrow. Because like, this is what happened with WoW. Is that like whenever Shadowlands came out, like, did you play Shadowlands or like WoW at all?
I played very briefly, but a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, so they had like this system where like you could only play like one. It was like a covenant at a time, and whenever players were not happy about it, like Amazon went through like, or not Amazon, Blizzard went through like this big long thing about how if they remove this from the game, is it even really an MMO anymore? It's like, oh, we can't really make it an ARPG anymore, or RPG anymore. And players were like, yeah, we don't like this in the game at all. And they stuck with it. And after everybody started leaving the game to play Final Fantasy, guess what happened? Somehow the thing that they said was impossible to do magically became possible instantaneously, and they completely went back on everything they said. So yeah, I think the moment that people actually stop playing the game because of something, things happen overnight. Like, it's not even a question. It's not even like, oh, maybe like this won't happen. No, because it's like you have all the higher ups that are working that don't know the nuances behind Pheons, that they just see number go down. And then it's like, oh, this thing is in the game, and you're making the number go down, which is, they might have like a percentage equity in this fucking company or some subsidiary here, and you're causing them to lose a whole lot of fucking money. There's no way they're going to be okay with that. They'd change it immediately. It's not even a question.
What do you think needs to happen outside of obviously removal of peons for you? What do you think Lost Ark needs to do for it to be a top tier MMORPG right now?
Like a top tier,
hey, the bet. Like if some random person came up to you and was like, hey man, Asmon, what are the three? Name me the 3 best MMORPGs in the world right now. And Lost Ark would be right there.
I feel like Lost Ark probably is number 3 right now. I mean, you've got WoW as number 1, Final Fantasy number 2, Lost Ark number 3. Like, that's probably what I would say. I think some of the reasons why it's not higher is because, number 1, the honing is just soul crushing. Like, farming for 2 hours to do 3 clicks at 1%, lose them all, and then have to wait a week to do it again. It doesn't really seem like a good time. One small thing that I actually don't think is very small is the voice acting in the game is fucking garbage.
Really? The voice acting?
I think the voice acting, because like you have to be able to get into the characters. Like, for example, the New World voice acting for a lot of the new content is actually really well done. And I think that people see that and they respect it. And it makes them feel like they're more involved with the game. And like with some of the cinematics, especially, like the way the characters talk and act, it kind of takes the immersion out of the game.
Right.
I think in a big way.
Right. I think outside of the actual game systems, I think the biggest gripe that I have for Lost Ark is actually the translation. Like, there's some shit that's in the game, like especially even in the housing area, where I'm like, I'm reading this thing in English and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's, I mean, like, that's basically another version of kind of what I'm saying.
Right.
Is that like, yeah, you can't see what the fuck they're saying. You can't see what they're talking about. It's just very, very badly designed, I think. And, or it's like badly translated. And I do think that it takes away some immersion from the game whenever you're playing something and you just see, you know, like the voice acting is awful, because it just, again, I think it takes you out of the game.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'd like to see. And then also like just adding in more raids and like more content, like larger scale content. I know they had that dragon raid. And then like that was like one of the first things I saw about Lost Ark. And I was like, wow, this game looks awesome. I've never done it.
You haven't done Mystic yet?
Oh, no. I think his name's Kaishzer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's like the big one where you get in the cannons, and it's like, you know, as a WoW player, it's like, oh man, this is what I wanted. This is what I thought we were going to get with the Deathwing fight, but it just never even happened. And it's like having more content like that's super important too.
Okay, so removing Pheons, making it less alt-centric. These are the two big ones for you outside of the voice acting and the localization.
I think making it less mandatory to have alts, because it's like, I don't have to have alts, but I do have to have money. It's you either have alts or money. That's one or the other. And it's like that. I think that for a Western audience, just not really a good sell. What do you think about how many bots do you think are in the game?
At least 11 billion, something
just
like that.
At least somewhere around there, like give or take maybe 5.
It's like the amount of bots that are in the game it's insane. I mean, it actually kind of depends on what region too. Like, thank God NA East is like significantly better than NA West. It's so funny because like anytime a streamer is playing NA West, or anyone in my chat that says they're playing NA West, I just meme on them. Be like, oh, so you're playing a single player.
Is the bot situation way worse there?
Absolutely. I tell them, anyone that tells me they're playing on NA West, I tell them, oh, so you're playing the single player version of Lost Ark. The co-op version.
That's so bad.
I mean, it's even reflected in the prices too, right? I mean, the marketplace price isn't going to be like 100% representation, but even the marketplace, the blue crystal in our region is what, 2,500 ish, right? In the 2,500 ish blue crystal exchange. In the West, it's like 4K. It's insane.
Jesus Christ!
It's so funny. I watched. I was watching an NA West streamer hop in like and try to do a viewer raid, right? And she puts on this, she puts her raid up in the party finder. I shit you not, she had like 4 people that had clear bot names, you know, like the ZPDP.
Oh yeah.
Like 4 people,
and then they start like they get, as soon as they're in there, they start messaging her and stuff.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Like, you buy fucking 100K gold for, you know, however much
oh
it is.
actually
translated.
Yeah, it actually wasn't an ad. It was actually, I guess, a person that hopped on to play on the bot account and like typed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
They're hopping on their bot accounts. Oh, that's even fucking better.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I saw it once, so this could be kind of blown out of proportion, but I literally saw it and I just started dying. Yeah, the bots are a big issue, right? The whole RMT system. I don't know. That's tough. I mean, I don't know if I had to guess, I'd probably guess the actual player base on Steam. I'd probably guess maybe like 50,000 concurrent players that are playing Lost Ark.
Really? You think it's that low?
That would be my guess. Somewhere between 50 to 100. I don't think we're at 100. There's no way we're at 100.
Wow.
I'd guess somewhere between 50 to 100. That would be my guess.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Probably right in the middle, maybe like 75, but yeah, definitely not 100. That's my guess though. Like, I'm not, obviously, you know.
Yeah, we can't know for sure, but I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, more like 150K. People say 50K. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there could be a lot of bots in this game. So it was really bad at the beginning too. It's like, I don't know why the bot issue is so bad in this game. It's like in New World, there's like almost no bots. Like, I don't understand how you're not able to hire a dozen people to just monitor different servers and different layers or channels and just see, oh wow, there's a lot of these characters. His name is MXCYVVX. Like, okay, and look, he's another fucking berserker, and he's done 78 chaos dungeons today. Well, let's go ahead and investigate what this player's doing. Like, and then there's 8 other characters that are moving at the exact same pace that he is, doing the exact same thing. You're not going to be able to convince me that this is not an unsolvable problem, or that it is an unsolvable problem. Like, I can't see it being that hard to deal with.
I'm just wondering, like, in regards to that, like, if that's, because I just don't know the logistics around like what it takes to run an MMO, right? Because like, having people like that would require, obviously paid salary, for people to actually sit there and do it, and
you have to spend money.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem right there.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff Bezos needs to put a little bit more money into it.
Well, it's just like, I mean, Lost Ark is such a huge MMO. I mean, like, it seems like it would be great if Amazon had this game and it was doing really well, because it would make them look good. And I don't really see it, like, in the grand scheme of things, paying a handful of people like that really isn't that much. I don't understand why it's such a struggle. It doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know how exactly they can solve that, but I think it's a huge issue, and it makes the integrity of the game go out the window, especially with like people that are buying gold, etc. But I mean, then again, it's a pay to win game. So, I mean, you can already buy gold. It's just they're doing it illegitimately.
Right, significantly cheaper. I mean, it is significantly cheaper.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, it's insane. Like the whole RMT issue. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's just something. I mean, obviously, botting RMT, all that stuff is bad, right? I just have no idea how they would actually go about fixing that issue unless they did what you had suggested. You know what I mean? Like paying, hey, we're going to bring in and pay all these guys this amount of money to come in and, work a 9 to 5 where they're sitting there monitoring.
Just banning bots. I bet, honestly, if Amazon went out and they said, listen, we're going to we want free volunteers. I bet there are some people that would do that for free. If you just give them the tools to do it. Yeah, it's like, make them fucking hall monitors, and they will ban the bots for you.
Give them one of those patrol belts, those orange neon
the
patrol
belts.
Badge,
the yellow badge. Yeah, exactly, like the sheriff. Just do that. Yeah, anything would be better than what they're doing now, in my opinion. I think anything would be.
Are you pretty pumped for Dragonflight?
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. Like, every time there's a new WoW expansion, there's probably equal anxiety and also excitement. That's about where we're at now.
Okay, like on that note, actually, this made me think of because like WoW, they have like these expansions, and the expansions essentially just hey, it's a brand new hard reset, right? Do you think Lost Ark would benefit for a system like that, or do you think people would lose it? Like imagine my boy Zeals, right? He's got an Esther weapon. He's got that Giga Chad massive.
He's got the 8 one.
Yeah, man. He's like.
Well, I watched the YouTube video.
I'm like Zeals, bro. Like, what's happening, man? And then Tier 4 comes out. Like, right. And then it gets reset. Like, because, like Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, they're like resets, right? Do you think Lost Ark is a game that would benefit from like a hard reset like that, like in the form of tiers rather than expansions? Or what do you think about that?
To be honest, one of the things that I liked a lot about Lost Ark is the fact that you had to go from Tier 1 to Tier 2 to Tier 3. It's something that I really missed in WoW. And like, this is the way that the game used to be, is that you had to clear Molten Core in order to clear Blackwing Layer and everything else. So like, the way that Lost Ark works, and the way that you just get better gear, and then you get better gear after that, and better gear after that, it feels like you're really building up, you're building your character to become more and more and more powerful. Like, I think that at a certain point, like, it seems like Lost Ark has like an obvious end. You have like all of the Legion commanders, then you have Kazaros and Carmine, and then like, I'm not sure. I obviously haven't played the Algacia patch, so I'm sure they probably added a couple other bosses. There was some sort of angel people fight, but for the most part, those are the main antagonists in the game. So it's like after those guys are done, what do you do? I don't know. Like at that point, I would be totally fine if they reset the game or did something like that. Maybe that would actually be better for the game.
Yeah, they're actually they have already announced that they're working on the tier 4 stuff, so but they just haven't really given any details. I think a lot of people are really curious as to what's going to happen, because obviously, because like Lost Ark, like the pay to win system in Lost Ark is really interesting, right? Because it's a very rewarding system for people that are like trying to reach end game and get caught up. It's insane. But it's actually really punishing to whales in the sense that, like, for example, where you're at, you spend $1,000 right now, it's going to get you nothing. Like,
I spent $400. I capped out my, my purchases for the day to see how far it would get me. And I got 5 item levels.
Exactly.
And keep in mind, like, I'm not even going from 24 to 25.
Right.
Like, it would be even worse if I was.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's like there's a Korean streamer named Nodally who's like a big whale for Lost Ark and KR, and he actually drew this diagram of what it's like for like the whole pay to win system, and it's like you see one line that just surges up vertical and then just plateaus, which is the pay to win line, and then a free to play line, which is like it just gradually goes up to the point where like they're very close to the pay to win, and then that's essentially when it resets or something, whatever, right? I feel like that's like 100% true in Lost Ark.
Yeah, 100%. Like you get to a point where it's like you're obviously hitting a bit of a wall. Like you can keep going if you want to, but this is only for people with more money than sense.
Right.
But it's like I think that some people, I mean, if this ever exists in a game, there are always going to be people that don't like it. But with Lost Ark, I think it's generally like it's not as bad as it could be. Like, did you ever play Tower of Fantasy?
I have.
Okay, so how far did you get in Tower of Fantasy?
Not much. I just did it for content. I went in there and like just did a bunch of polls. That was pretty much it. Not much.
Yeah, the only content in the game.
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much.
I went through. I actually played pretty much everything in Tower of Fantasy. Like, I went through all the content, I did all the pulls, I got the fucking 6 constellation star NPCs because it's an MMO. I was going to give it a full review, and by God, I'm going to give it a full fucking review. Sure. And so I did that, and oh my God, it's like your character is just so much more powerful than people who don't pay to win. It's like it's not even remotely close. It's not even like, oh, they have a chance. They don't even have. It's just not going to happen. Like, you're at 50,000, they're at 5.
Right.
They're at 10. It's crazy. And so, like, yeah, if you compare Lost Ark to that, it's a lot better. It certainly is.
Again, Lost Ark is unique because it's also an alt-centric game too, right? So like if you do pay to win to juice a character, it's like, okay, you finish your 3 Legion raids and you're done. It's like done. What about your next character? And then you know what I mean? I think the fact that this game is alt-centric and most people have 6+ characters also kind of devalues having that super juice character. For the better or the worse, right? Like whether you like it or not, I feel like it does kind of devalue juicing one character. I will say, I think the vast majority of players that do swipe in this game, they actually swipe on their alts to try and get their alts up to a point where they can, do the Legion raids or overgear the Legion raids by a little bit. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see a poll of people that may not be playing Lost Ark actively right now to see what their opinions are on it.
See what they're doing, right? To see how many of them actually really care. Because like for a lot of people that I think some people like didn't play the game or don't like the game because of that, but there's probably a lot of other people that just don't really give a shit because it doesn't actually affect their gameplay. I think that like to the extent that whales can't affect their gameplay and whales don't have access to content that do have access to content that they don't.
Right.
Like I think the worst part was whenever they added Argos and it's like you needed to whale to get to 1370 and like 1385 and like 1400 and shit like that. Like that's what was really bad, but now, no, it's really not a big issue if you play the game all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely one of the things that they kind of dropped the ball on was that Argos release. It was just like no one, like you literally had to swipe to hit it. It was not possible as a free to play player that was being super efficient to actually hit it. I don't know of
Yeah,
any.
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, or if there was, maybe one or two. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they have to get like extremely lucky or something like that too.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, your hones have to go your way. So,
Yeah.
but you're making a good point. And another thing on that, like how it doesn't really, how having whales in the game doesn't affect your experience. It's like the only time that you'll ever interact with a whale, like if you do interact with one, you'll actually be glad to have them in your group, right? It's like if you're putting a raid together and you see a super juice whale, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, join my team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
thank God.
yeah.
We're gonna be able to do this, and it won't be a problem.
Like compared to like BDO, where it's like a PvP centric game.
You see a super juiced whale, and it's
God.
like, oh great,
he's God.
Exactly,
he's fucking God. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really do hope that they can make like the game, just make sure that doesn't happen again. But I feel like after that thing happening once, I don't really ever feel like it will happen again.
Right.
And it hasn't so far. Because like I see people all the time that are like 1,500 free to play.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,500 is definitely possible now as a free to play.
It's just they have to spend so much time playing alts. I feel like the game would be so much better if they didn't have to play alts for that.
Yeah,
and they could just play the game and do what they want.
Yeah, I would actually like, they made it better, Asmon. Like before, they actually didn't have these limits. Like so, like people would like for ultimate free to play players would have like literally 20 plus characters. It was insane. Yeah, they actually put limits on it, and like the director said something along the lines of like if you're done and you have nothing to do, like don't play Lost Ark, go outside or some shit. Like he literally said that. And here I have like even with the 6 character gold max, I'm like, this is way too much like for me.
Yeah, no, I think that like again, if you were able to do it, like I would probably do the clown raid more than once a week if I could get rewards for it more than once a week. Like even outside of the mayhem horns, like just being able to get the stuff done, because it's the thing is the raids are fun to play.
Right.
And if the raids are fun to play, then people are going to keep doing them. It's just that I don't want to have to play either different classes that I now have to learn and like figure out. Now I have to spend a bunch of gold getting engravings for them. And like I'm constantly feeling like I'm playing a downgraded version of like my main character, or just actually play other berserkers that are legitimately downgraded versions of my main character.
Yeah. And then feeding the mats to your main if you're trying to push your main too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like it feels so bad to have to do that.
Right. What is it about Zerker you like outside of the aesthetics? Like, do you just like the skill set that it comes with?
Yeah, I think it has cool skills. Like it has a lot of the same skills. Like because I play generally like the same type of archetypes in general, with like different classes. Like I kind of understand a little bit more of how they work.
Right.
And I think that's probably another reason too, is that I'm like very used to the way that it plays, and I just think it's cool, like being able to whirlwind and like blow up all these mobs. And I remember watching like my friend like do the last boss in like I think it was like one part of the story mode, and like then I remember doing it myself, and it's like, fuck man, this was so much easier whenever I was playing a berserker. Like I'm just fucking I was just destroying shit, whereas like for him, he was struggling, running out of stuff, like having a bunch of trouble. But it's just like being able to go in there and just fucking big dick and like get massive gear and just blow stuff up.
Yeah.
Feels fucking. Yeah.
The berserker technique engraving kind of got buffed and reworked a little bit. Are you thinking about
by a lot?
Yeah. Are you gonna be?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Are you gonna mess around with the new spec? Or are you gonna stay with mayhem?
I'm just gonna do mayhem.
Yeah.
I already have everything planned out for it and everything. It's like I like the idea of mayhem because like for example, that's how Warrior used to play in WoW, is like you would take more damage, but you would be able to deal more damage. So like that to me is like peak aesthetic. And so like, yeah, taking more damage and dealing more damage, I love that. I think it's badass.
Yeah.
But I gotta get some fucking sleep, man. I'm so fucking tired. It's almost 10. I've stayed up all night.
Yeah, Jesus, you've been going pretty hard, man. I appreciate you for the chat. It was fun, dude. I had a really good time talking to you. This is the first time I've actually gotten a chance to talk to you, really.
I was thinking about that whenever you called me, because I've talked to a lot of other people in Lost Ark, like Zeals, like obviously like Stoops, etc. But like, yeah, I've never actually talked to you before. So yeah, it was definitely good. Instead of, now it's a two-way conversation rather than just watching the videos,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you. I know you watched some of my videos in the past. I appreciate I appreciate you covering my content very much.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the content. So yeah, keep that up, man. Keep it up.
You have a good night.
All right, dude. Yeah, you too. See you later.
See ya.
Peace.
I really was not expecting having a chat with Asmongold today. That was literally the first time I had spoken to him. That was really cool. That was really cool.